Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of voice of radio. So today, we need to take a look at Coalossal. Yeah, that's right. There's a new Coalossal coming around, and this new Coalossal is looking really nice. Yeah, it's a stage 2, and yeah, it's kind of awkward, but oh, there's some stuff to love here. The world translation doesn't come from the lovely Antoine Boulet here. We've actually got a translation which is a mixture of Google Translate, the lovely Primal Lugia, and the lovely Alpha Tyrant TCG. Between us, I think we figured it out. So if we start off with the basics, and that I can tell you with absolute certainty, 180 HP is huge. It's actually 20 more than we saw on the other Coalossal. Shout out to the artwork here. The artwork is awesome. So we love that. And then we got a retreat cost of 4, which totally opens up buff padding, which means right off the bat we can have a 230 HP single prize Pokemon, which is making me rather happy. We have a weakness to grass, and honestly, I'm down with that. Rillaboom decks have not really proven to be all that and a bag of potato chips, and Zarude V decks have not proven to be all that and a bag of potato chips, so I'm cool with this. I'm just not digging these grass decks. I don't think these grass decks have proven themselves to be good enough, and this is excellent, excellent news for us. But we're a fighting Pokemon, which means we can use Karate Belt to reduce our attack cost, which may or may not be relevant. We'll get there in a minute. It means Martial Arts Dojo. If we're using basic fighting energy, we'll do an extra 40 damage if we're behind on prizes, 10 if we're not. It means that we can use Stone Fighting Energy to reduce damage done to us by 20, and that will of course stack. It means that we can hit weakness on Pikachu and Zekrom and Eternatus and on all of those lovely Pokemon. This, I mean, if we just look at the basics, this is something to get really excited about. It's also a stage 2, which is definitely not something to get really excited about, but we'll get there in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get there in a minute. And honestly, we've got some good attacks here, and I like the first attack. The first attack is very nice indeed. And if I tell you that I managed to confirm the translation of this by looking at that Maractus that we had a chat about the other day, the one from Sword and Shield, that is going to give a bunch of you a clue as to what it does. What you do is you flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon, and you do 90 damage for each heads. I know. Now, when I showed you Maractus a couple of weeks ago, I told you that it was the sneaky most powerful Pokemon in the game, but that did 60 damage for each heads that you can flip. There are basically 2 reasons why Coalossal should be looked at as a way better Maractus. First of all, with buff padding, you've got more than double the HP, plus a much better weakness, which is much less likely to be hit. And secondly, you do 50% more damage. And 50% more damage makes a gigantic difference here. Like an absolutely huge, gigantic difference. Oh, and you're hitting a much better weakness, so there's 3 good reasons. And I love Maractus, but fighting Pokemon are way better than grass Pokemon right now. Better tricks, better weakness. You're doing 90 for each head rather than 60, and you are much more likely to survive. Now, bearing in mind that what you really want to do with this Pokemon is pile energy on so you can hit ridiculous damage, survivability becomes really, really important. If I put 6 energy on, take a key KO, but then get KO'd myself, what was the point? I mean, I suppose I've taken a KO, that was the point. But it gets super awkward having to do it turn after turn. Coalossal says you don't have to. So, yes, it's a stage 2, and yes, it's awkward to get into play, blah, blah, blah. But we've got stuff like Rosa, right? You can get stage 2s into play. When you do get it into play, I love it. Of course, we then get the question of, how do we actually get the energy on there? And here's what I adore about Coalossal. All colourless energy. Now, Maractus is mostly colourless energy, but you need that one grass energy. Coalossal is whatever you darn well like. And I don't think there is one phenomenal cast iron perfect way to do it. but I think there are a few that will work quite nicely. What you could do is just go for a fire deck here and use Welder. Welder lets you attach 2 fire energy, draw 3 cards, job's a good un. In the early game, you can be using Volcanion to accelerate energy on the bench. If you go second, there's free energy. So, free energy for going second, plus hopefully a Welder, plus turn 2 Welder. You can have 7 energy on Coalossal very quickly. Turn 1, well, you don't, do much because it's your opponent's turn. But on your first turn, manual attach to Volcanion, Welder 2 Coalossal, Flare Starter 2 Coalossal, turn 2 you Welder 2 Coalossal, and you're good to go. Of course, what you'll actually be doing is putting it on a roly-coly, and then your opponent can boss his orders and KO because you'll have 5 energy on. They'll see what you're doing. Fingers crossed they don't do it. Or you Welder onto one roly-coly and Flare Starter onto another, and go from there. Start setting up multiples. I do actually really like the idea of using this with the new Bronzong. So, if we look at the new Bronzong, that's got one of those abilities we've seen before that basically just lets you move your metal energy around the field. It is Aromatisse. Well, no, okay, let's not use Aromatisse. It's literally Stage 1 Klinklang. Like, actual full-on Stage 1 Klinklang. Which is pretty good. And then, of course, you open up things like Metal Saucer. So you Metal Saucer onto, Bronzong itself would work, move it to Coalossal. Or you Turbo Patch onto a basic Pokemon, move it over to Coalossal. Spend the first couple of turns using Zacian's ability to draw cards so you can get your Stage 2 rolling, and any energy that you end up attaching to Zacian using its ability, you move over onto Coalossal. Now, this could run out of steam, because you only got so many Turbo Patch, Metal Saucer, and turns to use Zacian's ability. But this is one build of Coalossal that I really like, just because you've got a bunch of item cards to get you extra energy on. Porygon Z would work nicely here. Now, Porygon Z worries me a little bit, because you're basically talking 2 Stage 2 Pokemon, and that's a little bit sad, but it would open up Recycle Energy here, which will get bounced to your hand when it gets discarded, so if Coalossal does go away, you get 4 of those energy right back, and it would mean that you could attach Stone Fighting Energy as often as you like, Porygon letting you just accelerate special energy, so you could potentially actually attach all 4 of these, plus buff padding, and have a 230 HP Pokemon that takes 80 less damage from attacks. Yeah. Sounds pretty good to me. If you could ever get it working, this would be a great candidate for Jirachi Amazing Rare. Remember, Jirachi Amazing Rare's got an awkward free energy attack, but it then lets you accelerate 7 energy anywhere you like. Sounds like one we could start using. Sounds pretty good to me. And this might actually be a good time to mention what could be the very best partner for Coalossal, and that is that new Cherrim I showed you a couple days ago. Cherrim, of course, lets you attach as much grass energy as you like to a Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box. Well, ain't no rule box on Coalossal, ladies and gentlemen, which means you can use Cherrim to attach as much energy as you like. I know. Sounds like a pretty good thing to me. There is the argument here that, well, this works with Maractus, but again, I've given you the reasons for Coalossal. And then you've got a Stage 1 and a Stage 2 deck and blah, blah, blah. There's so much damage. And the thing is that once you get this energy on there, you don't need that many heads. Against something like a Crobat, you need a single heads to get a KO for 2 prizes. Against an Eternatus VMAX, you need 2 heads. 2 heads will be 180, double with weakness is 360. Against Arceus and Alga and Palkia, now, you need something like Martial Arts Dojo here or Galarian Zigzagoon, because if you can just get that 10 extra damage, you can just hit 3 heads, and then you'll get a KO on that. Even against things like Center Scorch VMAX, big giant VMAX, 4 heads. And I know 4 heads is awkward, but if you can get 8 energy on there, you should be able to rely on hitting 4 heads. No guarantee, but you should. And there's many different ways to get the energy on. I've given you a bunch of examples, but the fact of the matter is, you can do anything you like here. Any energy acceleration will do. You can play this as an any type deck. It does not need to be fighting. Although I should really at this stage mention, obviously, if you're playing Coalossal, you might as well put at least one Coalossal in the deck. Lets you search for a fire and a fighting from your discard pile and attach your Pokemon in any way you like, which is kind of cool. Although if you're playing a completely metal deck, maybe you don't want to do this. It's just an example. Having said that, just play like one or two of each and discard them as fast as you can. I'm sure it'll be fine. Then, of course, don't forget you've got Glimwood Tangle. So, yes, you've got a very flippy attack here. But if you don't get as many heads as you like, you can reflip all of them with Glimwood Tangle, which only makes it more likely that you're going to go and get the amount of heads that you want and go and get these big KOs and yay! Etc. Now, there is actually a second attack here as well. And what we've got is 1 fighting, 3 colorless, 200 damage, 50 to yourself. But this can actually work. Now, I don't know if there's ever a deck where you would play them, but if you're behind on prizes, this is Karate Belt Triple Acceleration energy, and then you're actually paying this for a single energy and doing 200 damage, which will destroy Eternatus VMAX, Pikachu and Zekrom, pretty much any single prize Pokemon, etc. This could be really good. I think most of the time, this is just going to be an attack where you essentially just have enough energy on there and you only need 200 damage, so you use it instead of flipping, and you flip when you have to, use this when you can afford to. But I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this seems pretty gosh darn good, if I'm honest with you. I don't think it's the main attack. I don't think it's a reason to play Coalossal, but I think it's a nice little bonus attack. This is really, really good. I know Coalossal's a stage 2, and I know stage 2s are awkward, but the fact that this has so much HP, does so much damage, and can be used in any type of deck with any kind of energy acceleration really does make me want to look at this and go, you know what? There's some in here. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. And only that low because it's a stage 2. I think somebody at some point is going to be able to make a really good Coalossal deck, and I, for one, cannot wait to see it. But I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.